Now, so how to kickstart an IoT journey? Now, if you are new to IoT, then this is something that you should look into. And then if you are already an IoT developer or IoT solution provider, then you may want to use the power of favorite platform incorporated within your solution, right? So it is important for us to know what is IoT ecosystem. In fact, Dr. Mazran has already emphasized a few times. And you may be wondering, why is it that we are re-emphasizing this particular ecosystem over and over again? There are four main components: devices, connectivity, platform, and application. And of course, security must be inbuilt actually. Now, why is it important for us to understand each of the components? Now, if you ask me, if you want to provide a solution, for example, in a farm, you want to know what type of devices that you're going to use, what type of connectivity that you're going to use, because you cannot use Wi-Fi in the farm. You may want to opt for LoRa network if you want to opt for the 4G network, which is have a long-range connectivity. The next is the platform, right? So which I'm going to explain somehow in detail how you can actually make use of favorite platform for your solution. And on top of that, you want to have a nice application that you want to showcase, you want to display it for your customers or for your own usage. So please, if you are new into IoT, really look into identifying, understanding each of the components in detail. It will really help you in building up an IoT solution. Now, how do you create an IoT solution? First, of course, there are many ways. I've actually listed down here five solutions, 5 steps, I would say. First is that to identify the problems to solve. Most of the time, what happens is that we try to build an IoT solution that we think that it is usable, that people want it. But we must see what is the customer's perspective, what exactly the problem that they're going to solve. Are they solving in terms of increasing the productivity or reducing the man hours, right? Because of shortage of manpower and so on. So these are the problems that we need to identify. Second is to find the right sensors or hardware that has an appropriate communication module. Now, when I say appropriate, as I mentioned earlier, if you are deploying in a farm, you may want to have a LoRa network, a long-range communication network. But if it's in building, maybe a Wi-Fi is sufficient, right? So this is what I mean by sensor with appropriate communication module. Next, you want to create and manage in the platform itself. Take, for example, favorite platform. So what you need to do is that you need to register, be an account. So you must have an account. Create the components that is required for you to receive data from this hardware. Next, you need to configure. In fact, we have provided a lot of codes, tutorials on how you can actually configure your device to send data to the platform. In fact, we have a detailed explanation, video explanation, step-by-step explanation using various sensors, various programming tools, and so on. So use that tools available, configure your hardware, send it to the platform. Now, once you send the platform, the data will automatically be sent either periodically, depending on how you set your hardware to send the data, right? It depends on the frequency that you send. You can send it every 5 minutes, every an hour, once a day. So it depends on the usage, depends on the problem you're trying to solve. For example, I'll give you an example. If you want to monitor the water meter at your home, right? Of course, you can't do that. Maybe it's part of Lango and so on. What they want to monitor maybe once a day. They don't want to monitor every hour, right? Doesn't make sense. So it's once a day type of sending the data. But in some critical solution, maybe in some health sector, you may want to increase the data. Maybe you want to send every 15 minutes, right? So this all depends on the problems that you're solving and the need for it. Now, once you have all the data stored, data kept in the platform, next step is this to build an application on top of that. Now, so what are the key features that we have in our platform? Right. So Dr. Mazlan mentioned out of last year, there are about 600 over platforms, maybe even more. And each platform, they have their own strength, their own purpose. Some are horizontal, some are vertical, some are database specific. There are many features. So you need to evaluate and see what is your needs. Now, what are we offering? These are some of the key features. The first one is that we support multiple communication protocols. The most common that's being used in IoT, as you all know, is REST and CoAP, right? And of course, MQTT. And we support all these three. So you can pick and choose which one that is suitable for you, which one you're familiar with. Second is we have built the platform in a hierarchy base. So I will explain in detail later. Next is real-time data display. If you want to see, data that is being channeled to the platform and you want to view it in a graph, right? So we have a graph that you can display that and see the data in real time. Next is the API key to manage data. Now, each user that's registered are given a 128-bit API key. I know it's a bit long, but that is required for security purpose. And for some cases, what we have add on is that we have also reduced the API key to about 64 bits if you want to use as well. I'll explain that in the next slides. Next, if you configure your data and to check every single data and to see whether it's reached certain threshold, you want to send the alerts in some way. So we have incorporated that as well. So you can send data through email, to SMS or Telegram. Next is you also maybe want to display all the devices that you have actually configured and installed on a map, right? So what you can do is that you can actually configure, when you configure your device, you need to provide the latitude and longitude of that device so that the information of the device is displayed on the map. What kind of information is being displayed? The device name, the real-time data that is being pushed to the platform, and so on. Next is GraphBot. Now, GraphBot is actually a graphical bot where you can view real-time historical data. And you can also share this data publicly, meaning you create a graph, and we have few tools that you can create a graph, few types of graphs that you can choose from. And after that, you actually publicize the graph, right, to make it public. Next too, we have a referral program. If you are part of, if you sign up, become a member or register as a user, you can also refer to other people. And once you refer and they subscribe, you can get some kind of points, which you can redeem later. And the most important thing is that how to share your user portfolio. Now, this is important if you want to actually let other people know what work you have done. What are the IoT projects that you have done? And because what we do is that we share your portfolio to our portal in the favorite portal. And whatever information that you want to display will all be shared publicly. Next. So this is a slide Dr. Mazlan mentioned earlier. And to provide all the features that I mentioned earlier, so we have built this platform in a component basis. And at the bottom of this slide here, you see there are many types of devices. It means that you can connect any types of devices. Arduino Raspberry is just a development tool, but you can also buy off the shelf sensors and devices and connect to the platform. The only condition is that you need to support either one of the three protocols that we actually provide, which is the REST, CoAP, and MQTT. And once you configure, as I mentioned earlier, you can make use of the features within the platform to harness the data that you have. Now, how to get on board? It's very easy. You just need to go to the platform.favorite.com, and you can register as a free or beginner account. And you can see, even in the first page, without even registering, you can actually go through all the documentation that we have, the API that we provide. We also have a GitHub that consists of all the codes, not only by us, but also by other developers who are willing to share. We also have an active forum. Now, this is where we can actually come in, check what are the issues that you have, or if you have any queries, any questions, you can interact with us. And we also have video tutorials as well. Now, this is what I mentioned by two methods. This is what I mean by hierarchy. Now, why is it important for us to build in this way? Is because to easily manage the different components. So on top, we have projects, and then we have applications, we have groups, devices, and the bottom one is the data streams. If you want to retrieve certain data based on group, you can make use of the API that we have and retrieve the data directly from the group. But if you want to retrieve based on devices, you can also do that. Now, in the platform, we have provided two methods of automatically create this hierarchy. One, of course, the manual creation, where you have to go, you have to create the project, you have to create the application one by one. And these are all interdependent, meaning the streams are dependent to device, device dependent to groups, and so on. The second method is the automatic creation of hierarchy. There's also an option, assuming that you are too lazy to do, create one by one. So what we have done is I just click one, you just provide the project name and device name. It will automatically create all the other components for you. As I mentioned earlier, so we have two types of API key. So you can see this in account setting. One is the long API key, which is about 128 bits. And we have two parts of it. One is the read-write API key. The other one is read-only API key, which is meant for you to send data. And if you have a third-party developer who is going to use the data, you can give the read-only API key to that particular person. The second part is we have the access token. This is a shorter API key, I would say, and specific to device. Now, the earlier API key is meant for all, but device-specific API, the token, are meant for you to be used for example, you want to configure your Telegram bot and so on. So it's a shorter one. So you can use either one if you want to. And this is how you actually send data to MQTT. It's very straightforward, if you ask me. Now, we need to have a publisher and we need to have a subscriber. So publisher actually sends data, and the data or the message sent to the platform. Favorite platform stores the data internally, and at the same time triggers it and send it to all the subscribers. And this is the standard format. In fact, we have all full documentation in the documentation section in the platform. And this is a new alert type that we have configured. This is through the Telegram app, but this is only meant for beginner account, not for all the account holders. So these are step by step. First, you need to activate the bot father feature in the Telegram. Next step is need to create a new bot, give a name for it, copy the API token that I mentioned earlier, start the bot, and create new rules in the platform. So what happens is that when you set a threshold in the platform, for example, you said, okay, when the temperature reaches 40 degrees, I should send a message to the bot, right? So you can select either email, bot, or SMS. So when you select Telegram, it will send to the Telegram bot that you have created. And you can also state how many times that you want to send the rules, the message, the alert, either once, twice, and so on. And you can actually restart that number of times that you want to send. The graphs, as I mentioned, there are various types of graphs that you can actually create. It's all real time. And there are two parts. One is the real-time data, one is the historical data. And both of these types of data can be shared publicly. Next, I mentioned earlier, share user portfolio. This is important if you want to publicize your own work so that other people know what you are doing, what type of project that you are doing, whether you are expert in certain areas, right? So people always want, IoT developers, this is some, organization out there, they're looking for two main experts or two main, I would say, categories. One is the IoT developers, the other one is the data scientists. These are the hot jobs, I would say. Now, if you feel that you have done so much, you want to share your profile, this is the best way, right? So share it. You can do this within the platform, the IoT platform, the favorite IoT platform, and you need to publicize it. So once you publicize, what happens, it goes and pushed to the favorite portal where everyone can see, and you can also share it with the other social media if you want to. Now, this is my last slide. So in order for you to come on board, so there are so many features that you can actually explore. This is because of the shortness of time that we have. I need to suppress it, so that I highlight some of the main features. Now we have a limited offer until 3rd July. You can use this voucher code, stay home and code. You get a 50% discount for the subscription. 50% is not that much for an IoT platform, if you ask me, provided that we have so many features that you can make use of. As I mentioned, so you may ask what's the difference between free and subscribed version or beginner plan. There's a limited number of API calls for free, number of devices that you can create, the use of Telegram, and so on. Now, in a beginner account, we also have a limit, but it's a higher limit of API calls, unlimited number of devices that you can create. You can make use of the Telegram to send the alerts. And on top of that, you can also subscribe SMSs so that you can also send the alerts to SMS, okay, through SMS. So this all. I'll pass it back to Zura.
All right, thank you.
Sorry, Dr. Kapi, would you like to share, just go through with the portal?
Yes. Yeah,
Yes.
sorry. Let me just stop sharing. Now, let me just share this. This is the forum, right? So this is a forum. So you can see that there are many topics here. So they have a favorite platform, about MQTT, CoApp. So you can actually browse through this. Let me just open up the favorite platform. Can you see this favorite platform?
Yes.
All right, great. Now, so this is the favorite platform. So if you go to home, you will see this is a dashboard, right? You can see the number of projects that you have created, the applications, the number of groups, how many devices are connected. So you can actually make use. So if you can see here, there's a device developer ID. So this is device name. And you can also see the status of each device, whether it's connected or disconnected. And then you can also see the latest data stream. And the bottom, you can see the API limit. From here, you will see the number of API that you have already used from the total limit that you were given. And then here, if you click on the, this is a hierarchy. So if you want to create the project's application manually, so you can do that. Or if you have to create a new hierarchy, you can create by providing the project name and the device name. And all the other components will be created automatically. And here you can see the data stream. Now, these are all real-time data stream. Of course, I've stopped sending data. So you can see, you can in fact export the data if you want to, but that is only for beginner account. So you can scroll down, you can see the data. And one important thing is that if you see here, there's a temperature only, right? So you can provide as many parameters in one single stream. You can have 10 different parameters. You can have 2 parameters. For example, you want to state or you want to send temperature, humidity, motion sensor all in one. You can also do that. Meaning to say, you can have multiple sensors and you only have one device to collect and send the data at once. So this is the best way for you to configure multiple types of sensors. Yeah, and then we have GraphBot. So this is what GraphBot is. So just click one of it. So you can configure. So I've already reconfigured this earlier. So the temperature, this is not real time. Okay, this is the last April 3rd data. You can see the current time, and you can add as many graphs you want. So if you click here, graph, you can choose which type of graph. For example, here you see area graph, pie graph, bar graph, chord, and so on. Okay, and then we have rules. Now I've created many rules here. So what you need to do is that if you want to create rules, you create a rule description, and there is a way for you. There's a specific way you need to code, not to say code, to provide the information, stream.temperature, something. And then if you have 2, then you have 2 set of parameters. If only 1, then 1. And then what you're going to do, send to email or SMS. And because this is a free account, I don't see the Telegram here. But if you configure Telegram, then it will appear here. Okay. And of course, map. You can see these are the information that you can see on the map. So when you click each of the device, you will see the latest data stream that is being pushed to the server. And of course, all right. So you can see the tutorials. Let me go to documentation. Right. So this is a complete documentation. You can go through, and we on the right hand side of the documentation, you will see the scripting languages. There's different scripting languages: Bash, Python, JavaScript. So it depends on what you are familiar with, what you want to use. For example, if it's a JavaScript, it's a Java, so it's a different types of scripting languages. And you can also actually create using direct APIs using different tools, not necessarily through the platform. For example, if you want to create a device, I click here, I click the create device, and there is a create device here. The URL has been given, and how you want to create is by using this. Provide the URL, provide the API key, the content, and you automatically create the device. Right? Right. And then, right. So one important thing is that the API. Now we have provided the API, and this you can also do when you register and also offline. Now, for example, I want to see the data. What I can do is that I click get, right? And I can actually simulate it in the platform itself by providing all the required information. And these are real-time simulation. And all the data that you actually add to, or you want to push it to the platform, will actually push to the platform. Okay. And what else? Yeah, so these are some of the features. So you can please do register and explore it. And if you have any issues with the platform, you can always come back to us. I mean, you can always discuss with us in the forum. And if you have something new that you want to share, please also do share.